Right, so we've got a question here from 2004, and it's coordinate. So the most efficient way to answer this question is to quickly pick up your calculator and just make sure that you enter the two equations correctly. So I've put both of them in on the same page, and you can see that we've found the point of intersection, and here we've got the coordinate, the x coordinate that we're interested in. Okay, so 0.557146, that's the 6 significant figures. So when we go back to the question and we have a look, we need to make sure we choose the correct one. So which is the correct one? D. Okay, so 90% of people got the correct answer there. 90% of people chose D. The most common mistake people made was to select answer C, and you can see that it was a simple rounding error. Okay, so you can't afford to throw away a mark for being unable to round correctly. Let's keep moving. The next question, maximal domain. Vika loved questions about the maximal domain. So once again, how are we going to answer a question like this? What are we going to use to help us? We go straight to our calculator and we sketch the graph. Make sure that you know how to enter an absolute value function on your graph. Now when you sketch it, I'll just show you you've got the equation there. When you sketch it, it looks like it's just this kind of V-shaped effect here. But what you have to do is you have to recognise that that is actually an asymptote there on the y-axis. Okay, so when you go back to your responses, which one would you select? A, because the domain is the set of wheels excluding 0. So 79% of people got that correctly. Which do you think is the most common mistake people made? C, because they didn't recognise when they looked at that graph that the graph was actually approaching negative infinity when x equals 0. They didn't recognise that was an asymptote there. Okay, so it's not enough to just use your calculator. You have to interpret the output. You have to understand what it's telling you. Question 3. All right, the solution, how do we do this? What are we actually hoping to do? Hoping to find? We're hoping to find x. So once again, we're going to go to our calculator and we're going to go to a calculate page and we're going to solve. We know that if we enter it and we get something that is an exact form, yet the answers were in decimal approximations, we just do a control enter. And once again, we have to take notice of the rounding. You've got it in front of you, you can see that the answers are all rounded up to 3 decimal places. So you need to ensure that you round off to 0.144. So for this question, 89% of people chose D, which was the correct response. And what do you think is the most common mistake people made? Yeah, they didn't round off correctly. And it's such a shame to throw away a mark on a Year 7 skill. Okay. Right, so what are we asked to do here? We've got y, and we've got an exponential equation there, and we're asked to find x in terms of y. It hasn't actually specified that, but what we need to do is we need to get x to come down from the index and have x on one side of the equal sign and everything else on the other side. So what might you do? What might you try? Okay, you can try solve on your calculator, and when you do that, you do, and I've been mucking around a bit there, so it's right at the top. When you try solving with respect to x, you get an answer that doesn't appear in the multiple choice responses. So in this case, the calculator doesn't really help you. And I tried to do t-collect, which is a way of simplifying things, and it sometimes works. It didn't actually work. So in this case, this is a classic example of when it is actually easier to do it by hand. So for that question, Laura, if you do it by hand, it should be automatic for you. Okay, so bring the b to the other side and divide by the 3. You should be able to do that in one step, and then convert it to a log. Log base a of the fraction equals 2x. So hopefully you wouldn't need to write down the finished off answer, because you'd be able to look across here and see that the answer is going to be B, okay, because we have to divide both sides by 2. And 84% of people were able to handle that question. Okay, this is interesting because they've given us the general form of a logarithmic function where there's been a dilation from x and a translation in the x direction, and they've asked us to find the graph that matches up with that. The trouble is they haven't given us the dilation factor or the translation units. What could you do? To use your calculator, what could you do to help you with that question? Can we put in A and B and expect it to graph something? No. So what do we need to do? You could put a number in. Yes, you could put a number in. And they've given us some clues about the values of A and B. A is negative and B is positive. So when I went to my calculator, and you'll see in a moment, I chose a negative value for A and I chose a positive value for B. Okay, so I chose negative 2 for A and I chose 3 for B. So what would I type in? Negative 2 log E of x minus 3, because B is positive and it's x minus whatever B is. So don't get tricked into thinking that you've got to change the sign there. Okay, so let's go to the calculator. On the next page you can see what I've typed in, and you can see there it's 2 natural log of x minus 3, and when you look at the graph and then compare it to the responses that were given, you'll see that the correct response is C, and I think about 78% of people got that one correct.